Welcome back to Christ, Coffee, and Conspiracy. We are Sheri and Leigh Ann. We're so happy that you're here with us today. And our episode today is going to be about stress because there are plenty of things in this world that can make us stress out. And Sheri is a fabulous nutrition expert and a inflammation expert, and she is going to give us some great tips and tricks on how to reduce stress. So be sure to listen all the way to the end, and we hope you enjoy this episode. We can talk about the weight gain that I have from the stress of living in the cold.
Well, there's a lot of,
Move.
they manifest in so many ways.
Oh my gosh. I know. I told Tyler when we get down to California, I don't want a television. We don't watch a lot of TV, but I still feel like we waste a lot of time in front of it, like because we eat every meal in front of a television right now, and we end up sitting there for 30 minutes to an hour for every meal, and we don't even talk. We just watch TV, and I just told him I don't want a television. I just want to be outside. Like I don't want to move back to a super sunny Mediterranean state. Excuse me, of being inside all the time. Not the goal.
No, and that reminds me what I was talking to the people about last night in my 6-week wellness program about digestion, because this week was about digestion, how digestion works, and some of the things that it talks about, with it is relieving stress, but it's also that when you eat, is you need to be in that parasympathetic state, right? The rest and digest. So you need to not be in front of a TV. You should be very calm and even like taking, 10 breaths or so to like really reduce your stress before you eat so that your body can process the food. I know you're not sitting there watching the news, which would be like, no. My body will never process the food if you do that. But yeah, it is just one way to make sure that, we pay a lot of money for our food. We want we want our body to utilize that food. And if it's, if it's not in the right state, then it won't process it well. But I understand. And do we watch some things while we eat? Yes. And you're right. We don't talk then. We just kind of watch the thing.
Yeah.
Even for us, sometimes it's watching, Pastor Jack Hibbs and watching a sermon.
Yeah. And that's what we do a lot of times too. If we don't watch it while we're having coffee on Sunday mornings, which I guess I'm okay with that. at least you're taking it while you're consuming food, which is calming. But yeah, I just believe, for me personally, that being in a very cold state, not being able to get outside because there's 4 inches of ice on the road, and it finally warmed up here. It's 28 degrees now, but you can't comfortably go outside and walk around. We saw this woman the other day when we were driving home from the office, and she was literally in snow pants, a snow coat, mittens, and this huge hat and snow boots to go for a walk. I'm like, I don't want to put 10 layers on to go for a walk.
No,
I just
you feel like the Michelin woman,
right? So to me, that's stressful. So to just talk about different levels of stress, I know that there's a lot that goes on in this world, and I generally speaking, I'm not an emotional eater anymore. Like yesterday, I had the worst afternoon. The worst afternoon. And we had these dark chocolate peppermint caramel things. They're relatively clean, but they're still sugar, just pure sugar. And I don't typically eat sugar. And I grabbed those and finished the bag yesterday because I was in such a state of mind. Whereas had I prayed, or had I, just been able to get outside for a few minutes and go for a 10-minute walk, I would have reset, but that is not how that worked. And so that's very rare. Doing something like that is very rare for me, but it just goes to show, stress can quite literally kill you, because a lot of people do have that type of reaction to stress every
Mhm.
day they
Yeah.
eat.
Yeah. Well, I mean, stress comes at us in so many different ways. And I mean, especially right now, we've got stress coming in at what? We have it coming in from the news. We have it coming in from what's going on in the world. We have it coming in with when we receive our electric bill.
Yes.
I mean, there's so many different ways that it's coming at us right now. What do I eat? I mean, that's one thing I'm like, because it's like there's so many things that they're doing to our foods now. It's like, what do I eat?
I know.
And just getting back to eating real food, but it's where do I get that? Because that's another thing. But it's just there's so many different ways it's coming at us, and you're right. It's a killer. Stress
Mhm.
is a killer. It's like it's for as with Alzheimer's. I mean, stress is huge
Yeah.
with Alzheimer's. It's huge with type 2 diabetes. It's huge with cancer. All of those things are making our body not be in that parasympathetic rest and digest state. We're at heightened awareness all the time.
Yes.
And so when you're in a heightened awareness like that, ready to battle the bear that's coming after you, your body can't heal. It just can't heal.
So what do we do?
So, I mean,
How do we relieve the stress?
yeah, I mean, everybody, I think it's unique for everybody, but even you're going toward, walking outside, and I'm in a different state. I'm in a different situation. I'm in Florida, and so this morning it was 50 degrees, and for us that's cooler. Wasn't the Michelin woman, but I did go out for a walk, and
Yeah.
and that is a huge stress reliever for me, is going for a walk or exercising. Just
Yes.
even doing your HIIT workout at home,
Which I did do
or
last night. I took
going somewhere.
exercise. Yeah.
Yeah, and to me, that's my number one. Some type of exercise, some type of movement is my number one for stress, but it's not for everybody. Some people think, well, if I just sit in front of the boob tube, that will relieve stress, but it's not really.
Yeah.
It's mindless. Yes. I think that one thing that helps me too is finding something that's humorous. And that's why I'll send you things that are funny. It's just
Yeah.
like they're random, but I come across them, and if they make me laugh, then I'm like, okay, maybe I'll share it with a bunch of people, and I'll be like, I'm trying to spread de-stressing. It's like sometimes you just do have to laugh, and
Yeah.
or I tell people too, you can even like go out and find funny videos on YouTube. I mean, go out and find funny animal videos. You can find them. They're out there, and then copy the links. And when you need to watch that, put them in your notes on your phone, and just like, okay, I need a de-stress break, and go watch something that's funny. Call somebody and laugh.
Yeah.
It's like,
Yeah.
We went to dinner Friday night with our neighbors across the street, and I was like, it was a little bit stressful for me, because I'm like, I don't know what we can talk about, because we're conservative and they're not.
Oh.
I don't know if they're Christians or not. Not sure. And so it was like, what can we talk about and what can we not talk about? So we're kind of on guard on some things, but yeah, but I mean, we still had a fun time, and we laughed. And I think that's the most important thing about it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I would agree with that. Laughter is huge. That's one of the things that I've told my husband. So if you've never watched any of our podcasts before, I am actually in the process of transitioning out of Alaska back to California, which is where my husband is from. And um, so we are high stress right now, just because we are trying to completely, we sold our house back in August of last year, because my mother ran out of money, who had Alzheimer's and was living in a assisted living or a memory care facility, and the memory care facility was $10,000 a month. So we sold our house to care for her and make sure she didn't have to move when she ran out of money. And in doing so, we basically sold all of our furniture too. We knew we were going to relocate to California, so we're currently living in a furnished Airbnb long-term rental, and we just are living out of boxes. I mean, our clothes are hanging in a closet, but that's really where it starts and ends for us. We have the rest of our belongings in storage, and so we've been gradually pulling so much of our stuff out of storage and going through it. We haven't had this for 5 months. Can we live without it, kind of deal? And what's that organization woman's name that you've referenced before?
What is it? I get Kanamari or something like that.
Yeah.
Anyway,
So
yeah.
we're basically
Asian
doing
woman.
that. Just, do we actually need this? And for some of our stuff that we have in storage, like my kitchen stuff, we need it because I cook all the time. I prefer to cook everything from scratch. But anyway, so it is stressful because we're living in someone else's home. We're using someone else's things. We are, really trying to downsize, and we move in 10 weeks. So as we get closer, it gets even more stressful. And so the point of that story was I had a conversation with my husband, and in the meantime, I'm trying to grow a business so that I don't have to get another job when we get back to the lower 48, because I'd really like to exit the career I've been in for the last 20 something years. And so there is a lot going on, and it is a lot of stress. And I told Tyler a week ago, I said, we really need to pick a day and go do something that isn't home or business related, because we don't laugh. Tyler and I have had this relationship where we laugh to the point where we're crying a lot, and we have not had those moments since we moved into this house. And it's been hard. And, like I was saying at the beginning of the podcast, the weight gain is there because, we don't have a lot of our own things. We eat out more than we would, not so much right now, but when we first got here into this Airbnb, we were eating out a lot. Winter hit. We've had the worst winter we've ever seen here, with more snow than I've ever seen in Alaska, colder temperatures, and being outside just is the worst. It's just the absolute worst. So, the joy that I'm used to living in is not there. On the easier side of things, my mother passed away, so I get to take her with me, and I don't have to worry about her being here and me not. So, there are things that are happening that I feel like God is putting into place to reduce that stress. I just have 10 more weeks of, planning and packing and eBay shit selling and all of that fun stuff, but it is a lot of stress. And then, like you said, on top of all of that, when we look at everything that's going on in the world, it just compiles. So I really try to keep God at the center of definitely the things that are going on in the world. God's got his hand in everything that I'm doing. But when it comes to the worldly things that I can't have any control over, I try hard to give it to God. I have my opinions, I have my thoughts, I have my prayers, but I try hard not to let that overwhelm me too with everything else I have going on. So, my stress relief right now is a bath once a week, a hot bath once a week, and prayer as often as I can remember to pray. I don't really have a lot more I can do, and that's, and exercise. I do work out 5 days a week. However, I work out in the afternoons 3 of those days, which is not good for my sleep because my cortisol jacks up. So I'm in a big catch-22. Who else out there is in the same catch-22? And how would you go about changing that for yourself? Because I used to get up and work out in the mornings, but because I am trying to finish up my contract with this job that I'm in, I go to work really early in the morning now, and I'm not getting up any earlier than I do because I work at night on my business. So I have to work out at night.
what time are you working out at night?
I get home, I leave work at 4 almost every day, except on Wednesdays I leave at 3. So I usually come straight home and work out right away. So it's usually 5:30 before I finish. And I lift, I do hit and I lift and my heart rate goes up. So I know my cortisol goes up. And so we have dinner right after that. And then I go to bed. We're usually in bed at 8, but I work until about 9 when I have a light that's on a timer. So when my light shuts off, I'm usually closing my computer and going to sleep within 15 to 20 minutes of that.
That's good.
Yeah.
I mean, it's good that you're getting in bed so religiously early. That's not that's something I'm still working on for sure.
Yeah. But you're also you have some flexibility because you work from home. And I don't have that flexibility. Otherwise, I wouldn't mind staying up later. But I also know that 10 p.m. to 2 a.m. window is the best for brain cleanup, which I need desperately. And then the other piece of that though is because I'm getting home and working out, I'm not getting that 3-hour window from the finish of my meal to getting into bed,
yeah.
which I'm an advocate for. I really believe in, having that time to let your body work before you go settle into a laying down position. I get close because I'm still sitting up in bed. I'm not active. So I'm so looking forward to April.
Yeah. Yeah, because I had always exercised in the afternoon or, after work.
Right.
Because it's like, well, that was the best way for me to de-stress because it was after working a whole day and whatnot. So, and then got shifted into doing morning workouts and I do walk. I'll do my walking in the afternoon. Yeah. So that's, which is not getting my heart rate up as much.
That's actually good for sleep.
We move. Yeah. I do move. So it's not a leisurely walk. I am walking pretty fast, but yeah, so, having that window and you're right. It is a time, 10 to 2 is a time for brain cleanup, but it's also a time for your whole body to be healing. And so it is important to get into bed earlier like that.
Yeah.
At least before 10, so you can be asleep by 10.
Yes.
Working on that. Yes. So, yeah. But, we're it's hard when you have people in your house too that have different schedules than you do. And so it's like you kind of get pulled into that other schedule.
And there are a lot of houses that are like that. I know Tyler and I are very much on the same page with sleep, and he doesn't like getting up as early as I get up because I get up at 4:45 every day, but
me either.
Right now he's laying in bed having coffee.
Good for him.
Yeah. I've always been an early riser. Not quite that early usually. I'll start sleeping in a little bit more once we get done up here, but I like getting up in the morning. I don't like wasting my morning. So
yeah, I am more of a morning person too, but I'm not getting up that early.
No, I don't.
I do get up earlier when I teach my class.
I don't encourage that, but I get up at 4:45. And I'm usually at work between 6 and 6:30, except for on mornings when I'm podcasting with you. So, it's very early in the morning here.
Yes, it is. But it's, and you mentioned prayer, and I think that is really important. That is an important piece for us. Prayer, meditate on some scripture.
Yeah.
But both of those things, and another thing would be deep breathing. I know that, and I used to, when I went to work in a building, I was a software developer, and we had stress, and I would walk I always walked up and down the stairs because we did have elevators, and I was only on the second floor, but I would walk up and down the stairs, and then I'd walk outside and around the building, and I would do box breathing is the one that I defaulted to. So you're probably familiar with box breathing? No? Oh, okay. So box breathing is you're breathing in for a count of 4, then you're holding your breath in for 4. So you're coming down.
Yeah.
Then you're exhaling for a count of 4, and you're holding again for a count of 4. So I would box breathe while I walked around the building, and I'd get back to the front and I'd be like, am I ready to go back in? Oh no, I'm not. So I'll go back around again. But yeah, I mean, just doing whatever count for breathing, but that is actually box breathing is used in emergency rooms by the staff in there, that when people come in and they are like high anxiety and like really like stressed out, they'll get them to sit and breathe like that. And they'll use box breathing.
I've done that type of breathing a bunch, but I had no idea it was called box breathing.
Yeah, it's called box breathing.
Okay.
So that's the one I generally default to. So, but those are all just different ways that we can de-stress. But I think that, you know, with what's going on in the world and there is so much going on, that we do need to stop and we need to take the breaks and step away.
Yeah, I would encourage anybody to step away from the news for a number of reasons. For one, it's propaganda and it always has been, but I know that more now than ever. It's intended to get you riled up. So step away. And for, another, it's whether you believe what you're hearing on the news or not, it is so negative in context. It's so hard to see anything positive on the news that, it just why bother? I do think that we need to be educated on what's going on in the world, but I don't think, because there's so much readily available at our fingertips today through social media, through 24-hour access to news sources online, whereas back in 30 years ago, 20 years ago, you got your news once a day. Maybe you had time to watch morning news before you went to work, but most people watched the 6 o'clock news at night for 45 minutes and they were done. And it's just not that simple anymore. So, and I'm guilty of that. I can get onto Telegram or social media and just scroll news stuff all day long or for an hour or two at a time. And then I'm just like so super jazzed up by the end of it because I'm angry, And that's the idea. That's the idea. It's all intentional by our news sources to get us riled up. So
yeah. Whatever happened to those the feel good stories?
I know they don't do Good Samaritan.
I mean, there
stories
used
at
to
all.
be. No, you have to seek them out. It's pretty sad.
Yeah.
I think Epic Times, I think, will put out, that's EPOCH. They will put out stories that are like that, though. They will put out some feel good stories, and so it's, find those news sources that do. Or not news sources, but they are news sources. But they have different categories, and you can go down whichever category you want to go down. So it's not like you're just going through and it's like, stress. If you want to go into the political or you want to go into world news, you can go hit that tab and look at it. So I do like that.
Yeah.
I like their health is very good. They have a lot of good things on health.
Yes, they do. I love Epoch Times. I did see a couple of good news stories the other day on social media, sadly, but that's where I saw them. I saw that Italy has now banned synthetic meat, which I'm really excited for.
God.
They're the first and only country so far who has said we will not have your meat in our country. And then the other one was that there was a police officer who was following this woman, and she was on a freeway, and she quickly got over to the side of the road, and he pulled up behind her, and she jumped out of the car, and he could tell she was choking, and he gave her Heimlich real quick, and she had a piece of gum that got lodged into her throat, and he saved her life.
Oh my God. What I would say about that is God put the cop behind her. That's amazing.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, it was a great story to see.
That is
Yeah,
on so many different levels. So it's
I know.
yeah,
So
yeah,
there are good things in the world. There are. And I think
there
it's
are.
important for us
Yes,
to look for them right now,
yes,
especially.
yes. Yeah.
So,
Yeah, because I do feel, and I've heard this in a lot of spaces, but I can see where it's true that we're in for some rocky times from
oh,
here until November 5th when we have an election. It's going to get rocky. It's going to be a roller coaster. And, as prayer warriors, as Christian warriors, we need to be prepared.
yeah.
And one thing is helping mitigate that stress,
Yep.
honestly.
Yeah. The less stress we have, the more we can focus on promoting good in this world and praying. Because sometimes stress and prayer don't necessarily go hand in hand. We look for a different out when we're stressed, whether
Yeah.
it's food or the television or
Yeah.
even exercise. If you're not thinking to pray while you're exercising, which a lot of times I don't, because I'll have music or, something playing in the
Yeah.
background, a podcast or whatever. But prayer is the answer to literally everything. So, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Well, if you have any stress relief suggestions, please drop them in the comment section below. Or if you have something that you would like for us to pray for you for to help relieve stress in your life, please leave a comment in the comment section below. We are always accepting prayer requests and we want to pray for you. So let us know how we can. Otherwise, we thank you so much for tuning in. We hope that this gave you some kind of idea on how to relieve some of the stress in your life. We really want you to understand that stress can kill. I mean, cancer is the number one cause of cancer is stress, and the number one cause of Alzheimer's is stress, whether it's, inflammation, which is stress on the body, or however, it's still stress. And so just remember illness comes in many forms and many ways, not just mental, but physical as well. So reducing your stress could actually save your life. So let us know if you have any questions, comments, or suggestions in the comment section below. And please remember to like, subscribe, share, and always let us know where we can do better. Thank you, and we will see you next week.